Hey everyone, so welcome to episode 2 of the Unfortunate Honesty podcast. So, hi again. If you didn't see last episode, I'm Mary, and
I am Femke.
so the last episode we talked to Femke about her music and all of that sort of fun stuff. And on this episode, it's going to be titled "The Bitch versus the Boss" because it's something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and especially with like applying for some internships. Not saying I'm going to get anything, but especially with all that sort of stuff. It's kind of thinking about how a lot of the characteristics I think I personally hold would be seen a lot better if they were held in a man, and that's kind of like a big discussion I've been having with friends, and that's hence why we picked this for episode number 2. Also, just another quick clarification thing before we start. So in the first episode, I was saying like, so at the end of last episode, Femke and I decided we want to host this together, and I'm so down because I think just me talking on my own, I don't think that's entertaining.
Honestly, would be able to do it, but I literally dropped it as a joke and you were like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, no, I was just like, yeah, because my plan was originally to have different guests, and I'm still going to have guests. I think we still get guests. But I thought 2 people, a team's often better than like a single person. So yeah, that's everything that's going on. So I kind of wanted to talk first about the way we've been kind of perceived by people, because I think we're quite similar. We're both like quite ambitious and quite strong-minded, I suppose is maybe the best way to say it, because I definitely get called a bitch probably more than I should. I've almost like reclaimed the word now, and I use it to talk about myself. I'm like, you're that bitch, you're the bad bitch, all of that sort of stuff.
And like when I was younger, especially, like I was leading everything and I was always the bossy girl. Like,
she's so bossy.
Always. And now it's like, if I wasn't bossy, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
Oh, exactly. Like, I don't know, I just think people, as a kid, maybe you don't realize it, but kids don't learn stuff on their own. Like, it comes from family or like society as a whole. And I look at so much of the stuff that happened back in like school, like high school, primary school, and I'm like, that's so fucked up. Mm-hmm. That is so fucked up. Oh. And the more you kind of figure out what you want to do, especially if it's something very dominated by men, the more you come across this sort of stuff. And it just makes me a bit sad, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's like, it just immediately brings like a boss attitude down. And like, if like I said in the last episode, I got super depressed at some point. If I didn't have that time on my own, I don't think I would be the person I am now, and I would still be like holding myself back, because what if I'm too bossy? What if I'm too much? Yeah. I'm a loud person sometimes, and I've heard like terrible like I've heard people literally like gossiping about me at concerts and stuff, like because I'm loud and because I'm extra. Like, what is the point?
Oh, like, yeah. It's all inherently rooted in sexism, and that's the thing. Like, I think one word that you always hear women described as, but not men, is like difficult. She's difficult. And I think Halsey wrote like a whole poem about this. She was like, I like being difficult. And I very much take that attitude into everything I do now. I'm like, if I wasn't difficult, I wouldn't have half the stuff I have in my life. I'm going to continue being difficult, and I will be an inconvenience to you because I do not care anymore. And I think a lot of that comes from, I've never really cared what people thought, but the idea of like being perceived is something completely different to me. I don't know if it's just a me thing, but being perceived, something I do care about, like the image that you put out to the world. Like, I say every single person is a brand. People like, what do you mean your brand? I'm like, the way you post on social media, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, everything is a brand inherently. So I always thought of the way like my brand was like perceived, and I was always scared of coming across as like, I don't know, like certain ways, all sort of rooted in sexism. And that's something that I'm definitely having to work on now, because I've never really cared what people thought about me, because your thoughts could be built upon something like about me already.
Especially what you're saying, like, I don't care about like how, or like whatever I post on social media. Like, I don't care. I'm a very open person. I'm confident with myself. I'm confident with my body and stuff like that. the only thing that holds me back is like posting like a bit more sexy pictures, I would say, because
Mm.
my family follows me.
Yeah.
And that is really the only reason why I don't really do it, or when I do it, I'll just put it on my story and just block them out.
Hide them out. Yeah.
But I generally don't post it because I I feel like they would think I'm like a slut or
Yeah.
whatever, and like I am. Let's be real.
I
But
love the way you own that. I do.
but the thing is, like, being a slut to me or our generation is very different to what it is for my family or like older
Yeah.
people and stuff like that. Like, to me, it's just like owning yourself, like being a bad bitch, not really giving a shit about
Yeah.
anything. Like, oh, perfect example, Chrissy Shapeka.
Okay.
Like that, like the bimbo, like owning
Yeah.
herself, like absolutely loving herself, like that is, and supporting others as well. Like, I feel that, like, that is how I see it.
Yeah.
And while like others, like my family, for example, or like, I don't know, men, they just see it as a bad thing, and I don't.
Yeah, as well. Like the one thing I have is because Instagram is very much people posting their best moments. I like to just post all the time. And I'm like, one of my big thoughts is, am I making myself out to be kind of like, I don't know, like I don't want to say almost ugly because that's I don't know how else to put it. But because not all my photos are like my best moment constantly, I'm thinking, do people perceive me differently to how I actually am because other people are only posting their best moments constantly?
Yeah, so I had that a couple years ago, that I was getting
Okay.
super aware of like what I'm posting, and I was only posting myself at like concerts, and I wasn't posting
Mm.
my story that often. Now I'm just constantly posting and shit.
I vlog on the
Um,
story.
I know, especially your private.
Oh, yep.
But at some point I was like, okay, if I want my Instagram feed to look good, I have my story to do anything and everything to
Yeah.
look ugly or whatever that means, um to not be perfect and stuff like that. And I feel like, especially now, me turning it into like an artist brand, I
Mm.
feel like that has been the most helpful thing, because I'm very real in my music and on my story, but I also have like the artist image that would
Yeah.
attract people on my feed. And then I use my story to like kind of tell my story, to show who I am. Um, and I feel like that balance, I'm just very happy I found that very early on, like way before I even started doing music, really.
Definitely. I feel like I had that and then I don't know, I feel like I've lost it because I definitely think I'm more conscious about what I post these days. I think I'll post it and then I'll hate the fact I've posted it, but I just do it anyways. I think that's sort of where I'm at the minute. I think so much of that comes down to kind of like beauty standards perception of women in media and the male gaze, not to get all like sociology on everyone, but I
No, but
think so much
it's,
of
yeah.
it does. Like the one thing I was thinking about is like with movies, there's only ever like 3 or 4 different tropes for women or like different types of female character.
That's true.
And I just think it's so obvious that so many female characters are written by men. Like so obvious. I know there's a lot of parodies of like books written by men about women and stuff. There's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. We all know the exact sort of stuff that they write, but I think it kind of sets expectations in not just women but men as well in terms of like what they expect of women because they think that I think so many people kind of see movies as kind of like a bit too close to reality.
Mm-hmm. I feel especially like men don't realize how they see women until we like confront them to the point of like, wait, what did you just say? Like, they
Yeah.
don't realize until they have to explain it to us what they're talking about. And that
Mm.
is like, they will be writing about shit or like literally saying something that you just cannot say. And you'll just be like, wait, that wasn't funny. Can you explain that to me? Or I didn't get that. And then they'll be like, oh wait, that actually is fucked up. Or they'll be the complete opposite and just defend themselves to no end. Like, oh, you're just so sensitive. Like, fuck off. That happens so often too. Like, no, I'm not sensitive. I'm just not letting you get away with this bullshit. Shut the fuck up.
Exactly. I think I think what you said about like I don't understand. I think that is the best way to address stuff that isn't funny, because then they have to figure out to themselves how to explain the joke, and in the process of doing that, they realize, guess what? It's not funny.
It's not.
It's not. Like, I just don't know, because I think so many issues probably do come down to the fact there just isn't many women in the space, and like male dominated spaces. Like, perception of women in movies is probably there's not many female screenwriters or directors. And how do we change that is simply by being a bitch, frankly,
I
and
feel
forcing
like
yourself into that industry.
I feel like the thing is though, like there are so many women who would love to do that, but just because it is so male dominated, it is it's just close to impossible because it's so,
Yeah.
like you said, like you have to be a bitch to get in, and if you're not, you're fucked.
Yeah. And then you've got to not be too much of a bitch that people don't want to work with you at the same
Exactly.
time.
Like it's a thin line.
It's, yeah, I'm trying to think of the woman that directed Little Women. Is it Greta Gerwig? I don't know. I'm actually going to Google it because I don't want to say the wrong name, because I feel like the fact I can't remember her name perhaps proves my point that there isn't enough um enough female directors. But even her, I'm pretty sure she came from like a family that was already in the, yeah, Greta Gerwig. I'm pretty sure she already came from a family that was already in the industry, or she had some connection to like directing already. And she's probably one of the most prominent female directors at the minute. And like, even though it's great to see people like that, I feel like in male dominated industries, it is women who are in it through like family connections. And
Yeah.
you think at face level, like, oh, great, that's a woman. But then you realize, okay, what would have happened if they didn't have that family connection? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough, yeah.
It's like, I think that leads a lot back to classism, but that's not really a topic I want to dive into today, I don't think. But it's, yeah, and the worst part about it is the only way to make change is to just ignore it, but that's a really, really hard thing to do for a lot of people. And even if you are someone who is like a bitch, there still are moments that will get to you along the
Mm-hmm.
process of like breaking in.
Yeah, wasn't it a couple months ago when Little Mix came out with like uh they would go into meetings or stuff and um and meetings, I don't really remember what else, but interviews, and they would literally have to they would be told to flirt with the male
Oh my
the males in the
god.
room to or men in the room to, you know, get whatever their team wanted them to get.
That's absolutely horrific.
Like,
That does not
absolutely not.
surprise me, though, unfortunately, but that is vile. I have no words to even react to that, to be honest with you.
It is just a cycle. Like, um, you're, especially if they would be young women, like my age or
Mm.
even younger, because I mean they're still young, but they're older than I am.
Yeah, yeah.
But and especially in music, like you will, and acting, I'm pretty sure as well, in a lot of male
Mm.
dominated industries, you will do anything to get it. Like, and especially if you're told, like, if you don't do this, you won't get this. If you don't flirt with
Yeah.
these men, you won't get it. And then it gets to the point of like, okay, so now I've got this job, I flirted with these men, then the men think, oh, she's attracted to me, or like she wants
Oh,
something from
yeah.
me. And then it gets to like an unsafe point. And
We have the Me Too movement at that point because of all of that.
Yeah, and it doesn't end. The men do essentially create a very unsafe place for us as well, which makes it even harder. Like,
Definitely. And like as well, so much of those industries also tie into the same negative like beauty standards. Because like I don't act anymore. I never really did it like a very crazy standard. I was meaning to get back into it for years. COVID's hit. I don't really know if I want to anymore. But I remember getting called like fat by people like casting when I was like dangerously underweight. And
and I've
that
seen
sticks.
photos of you being so underweight. Like, obviously you were sick, but
Hmm.
like that was unhealthy. If you would have lost more weight, then no, absolutely not.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, oh my God. I can't exactly show a photo in the middle of a podcast, but yeah, it's like I don't know. I kind of looked almost. I don't want to say I looked like a model because I'm not a model, but like it was that sort of level of thin is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And because of that, you could see all the muscle in my body. And I'm not a very like muscular person, but I had like defined muscles simply because there was literally no fat on my body at all.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's dangerous as fuck.
And that reminds me of a story from a couple years ago, I think, when uh some award show was gonna happen, and I think it was BB Rexa couldn't get
Oh
a
yes.
stylist because she was too fat for any of the brands to dress her. She's
Why
literally like, I know a difference between fat and like skinny and whatever,
mhm.
like, or whatever that even means, like whatever. Uh, but she is like she's neither. Looks incredible.
Yeah. And
And
like
even like having this conversation, I feel weird talking about women's bodies.
yeah, I feel like it's not my business, frankly, you know?
Exactly. But yeah, that just reminded me of that. Like, why the hell do brands even give a shit? Like,
I know that the argument, I mean, I don't want to go into the fashion industry anymore, and I actually am probably going to link this to why because it has a lot to do with why. But in the fashion industry, sample sizes are anywhere from a size 0 to a size 4 at the largest. A size 4 is a UK 8 or a EU 36. I know some
mhm,
EU countries like Italy have different sizing and stuff, but like a general EU 36. So that is the biggest they go. However, so that's sometimes why designers will turn down people. But the fact is, if you have a celebrity who wants to wear your item, it doesn't have to be a sample. It could be something from a collection they've got out, even if it's not from ready to wear and it's like limited. It doesn't have to be a sample, but samples are what they send to like fashion magazines and things. And also, I don't understand why they can't simply make more sample sizes in larger sizes.
I don't get that either. It's like, I remember a model saying like, we're literally clothing hangers.
Yeah.
Like, that is ridiculous. Like, they just want it to be all to be as flat as possible, to just be as skinny and
Yeah.
tiny as possible, and like to the point of unhealthy, and that scares me.
That's why they're not allowed to smile on the runway either, because they say it distracts from the clothes. So they are
Mhm.
literally meant to, just display the clothes. And at that point, it's like just get a fucking robot or something. Like they are human beings.
Exactly.
And I have some friends who have been models, some who maybe they still do a bit. I mean, I can only tell you what I've heard from them. Not every agency, not every like designer is going to be the same. But I know that the requirements on waist size is a maximum of 26,
Hmm.
which at 5'3" is what I am. If I was 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, that's not that's not healthy. And I'm barely
Exactly.
like a 26, you know, I'm like
Crazy.
just maybe.
Yeah.
So it's just, and that's small still as well, because I'm like a small person myself.
Hmm.
But the fact that it'd have to be like the same measurements as me, but a hell of a lot taller and probably smaller than me in a certain aspects as well, because I'm not the same measurements as a model. The fact that you'd have to be 10 times taller than me, there's no way that could be possibly healthy because
Absolutely not.
I'm fairly small for my own height and my own weight still, you know?
That's
It's
true.
mind blowing.
Now I remember I follow this girl on TikTok, and she's a model in the Netherlands and a couple other countries as well, but she is Dutch. And she used to be like a normal model, and she eventually got out of that, and she's now a plus size model. But hers,
Oh,
I think
nice.
she is like my size or one size bigger ish
Mm-hmm.
around that. And I'm like, that is plus size. Also, if we're talking about plus size models, let me get into this. All plus size models, at least the plus size models I have seen, I've talked about this on my Instagram before, they all still have a flat stomach.
Yes.
It's all big boobs, big ass. Love
Big
that.
hips.
Flat stomach, nice hips, you know?
Yeah.
But it's all the same body type. It's still the same body type as
Yeah.
this skinny ones. And like it's beautiful. Don't mind me. But it is all the same. Like, can we
Not
get some
representative.
diversity? Like, can we get some like pear shaped people? Like, can we get some like, I don't know, apple shaped?
Yeah, I mean the only brand that I've seen be more diverse, even I still think it's slightly limited, but is Savage X. So shout out to
Yeah,
Rihanna for that.
that's the only, yeah, pretty much one of the only brands I've seen do it too.
It's yeah, and like all so much of this is why like this is a big reason I've ruled out working in fashion. I love fashion, but absolutely fucking not. And also experiences of people I know in the industry who don't work as models still having the same kind of like body standards, but they're working like communications or like marketing. You're not even working as a model and you've still got these crushing standards upon you. And pretty much everyone who works in fashion has had to be a bitch to get that because people think fashion's very female dominated. 90 like the designers are still pretty much all male, you know,
Mm-hmm.
although people like working at fashion houses and all the models and like, you know, there's more female, all the designers are still male and stuff like that, and all the magazines, the corporations will be owned by men still.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just kind of that crushing beauty standard, as well as everyone being ridiculously ruthless of each other because they've had to be to get where they are. And
Yeah.
I think it creates a toxic environment that I wouldn't want to be a part of. And that's my reason.
No, honestly, I get it. I remember this YouTuber. I don't know if her video about it is still up, so I won't say her name. But she is a model, and she got contacted by America's Next Top Model. I think it was something like that.
Oh, that show.
And they wanted her on really badly, and she had done a couple interviews, and then she would be the girl coming in like a day later or something, or just later
Okay,
in
yeah.
general, and she would have to act as the most, like, the biggest bitch ever.
Oh.
So there would, you know, they would create some competitive energy and stuff like that. And she was like, I'm not gonna do that. That's not me.
Yeah.
And she didn't go, obviously. Um, but it's like, come on, you really have to be a bitch for to get in anything.
I kind of get that, like, at the end of the day, it's a TV show. They want it to be entertaining.
Sure, there's plenty of models who are actors in the first place and would love to
Yeah.
do that.
Get like an actor, exactly.
Like, I don't know, or just have a bit more of a bad bitch character in general.
Yeah.
Like, there's there's no point in getting someone who's literally the sweetest. And the thing is, I feel like all her viewers would have been able to watch right
Tell.
through it
Yeah.
because she's always so lovely. Like, there's no way.
It would have, like, passed, yeah.
Yeah.
It is wild. I mean, like, as well, one thing that has been really getting me recently is the whole girls supporting girls thing. We were kind of getting onto this, but I'm kind of segueing over to it. So girls supporting girls, the idea that all women are nice and they can't like do anything wrong, and you can't have any sort of critical thought about someone who does something wrong because they're a woman and you like should support them. I don't think it's the hot take that people think it is. Like genuinely, maybe this is my like bad feminist opinion, but I'm not really. I like girls supporting girls, but like I don't take it as a universal law because at the end of the day, in society, it's not just men, it's women as well. There are people who are just inherently not nice. They might be going through something which is making them not nice, but some people just are not nice. and I'm not going to
Exactly.
support them because of that.
Like, I'm not gonna support Tana Mojo.
Yeah.
Like, I used to when I was younger, I have to admit to that. But, like, now I'm older, I'm like, nah, that shit is not good. Like, why would I support her just because she's a girl or woman? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
Exactly.
And that is where I'm like, I'm not gonna like actively support you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I will not hate you. I will not like whatever.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Girls Support Girls has pointed out how we were all a lot of us were made to dislike each other for no reason, like due to sexism and stuff. But at the same time, it has restricted the idea that you cannot dislike another woman, which is just not right.
Yeah, and like especially when I was younger, I was disliked a lot. Like I said, because I was
Mm,
bossy and I was generally different. Like I was not really following fashion trends. Like I
yeah.
remember when jeans started to come in, and I have never liked wearing jeans. I wore them eventually for a
Hmm.
really long time, but I never really liked them. Like when I got home, I took them off, put on sweatpants or leggings or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I vividly remember, I think I was about like 8, maybe a little around that age. I was wearing some sort of cargo pants, I think. And I feel like they might have been pink. And
I
this
love that.
it's very on brand.
That's exactly
And
what I was about to say.
and this these girls come up to me and they're like, "Why aren't you wearing jeans? Why do you never wear
Oh my
jeans?"
god.
I'm like, "I don't know." Like and at that point I was still a bit more introverted. I wouldn't say I was shy, but I
Hmm.
was always shut out, bullied a lot.
Yeah.
And that was like, we're not doing that. Like, I don't like jeans. I didn't say that obviously, but
Hmm.
because I was terrified. Uh, but I remember that so clearly. Like, and eventually I went up to my mom and I was like, I want jeans.
Oh
And
my god,
that's,
I have a similar memory actually. I remember I wore like a puffer jacket as a kid, and these girls started calling me fat because of the puffer jacket. And I was like 8 years old, so I went and bought like a different coat, which is pathetic. I can't remember who it was. One of my family members didn't want me to get. I think it was my dad probably. Was like, no, she's not getting a different coat because of it. But they were making fun of me like every single day, and it was just ridiculous. And I just don't understand why. I think a lot of I hate to say it because some people are going to be like, oh, it's not jealousy, you're like in your head. I think a lot of it is jealousy about like you having the boldness to be different and do what you want to do while they feel pressured to conform to like the standard, I guess.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like I've always been different.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in high school as well. Wore I wore leggings, and this is so embarrassing. I would never wear them now, but they were really bold. I'm not gonna even say what was on it,
Oh,
but
I know the exact style because I had a discussion with Anna once and we were saying we both wore like I had like cow print ones and all sorts of different stuff.
I know
Yeah.
these weren't even cow style print, but like you know the type
The
of
style,
bold.
the era.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wore them to school and I was like, oh, I love these so much. And that was just the era of like wearing leggings under your shorts. So I wore shorts with leggings.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And I was so happy with it. Like I got them while I was shopping in Germany with a friend at the time. And I was so happy with them. I loved them. And I went to school and everybody bullied me for it. And I never wore them again. And it's the same thing. I wore a bright Here's the thing. Orange is one of my colors. Orange, red, yellow, the right type of yellow, pink, like
Yeah.
bright colors are my colors. Like they look good on me. So I wore a bright orange top. And the thing is, orange is the color of the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking that. I was like very patriotic there.
So whenever you wear orange, it's like, oh, it's not King's Day. Or back then it was, oh, it's not
Oh,
Queen's Day.
right.
Oh, are you gonna watch like football or whatever? Like, no,
Yeah.
I just
I
I
like
just like
orange.
this color. Like, let me live.
Mm.
So that's always been an issue. I got bullied a lot for wearing orange. Um, while we're on the topic of like weird fashion things, can we just talk about low-rise jeans? Like, what was that?
No. The people are trying to bring them back. They're back at the minute, technically, in
Get
like the
the
cycle of fashion.
fuck out. Here's the thing. I saw some photos of me wearing them ages ago, and it's just you have to have a very specific body type to be able to pull them off. The majority of people don't pull them off.
Yep.
I'm one of those people. I don't. I literally look like it looks like a cupcake. like it's just like like I have big
Oh.
hips.
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
looked
work.
I remember I used to wear not low rise, but like mid rise, and they were like fairly low to be honest. When I was really underweight, and that looked great when I had abs because I had no fucking body fat. But now it's just like enjoy the surgery scar from my appendix if I were to wear them. You know what I
I mean,
mean?
like the thing is, like scars. I mean, it depends on the person, obviously, but like,
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't mind if people saw scars I had,
Yeah.
but it's just like it doesn't look flattering.
No.
Also, while we're at that, it doesn't look flattering. Sure, is that something we generally genuinely think, or is that something we've been
Yes.
told?
Yep. Exactly that. I think there's ideas of what you can wear at certain ages as well. Because I remember like family members being like, oh yeah, you should wear it while you're young, you won't be able to in like 10 years. And I'm like, why couldn't I wear it in 10 years though? You know what
I
I
had
mean?
so many people tell me, like, oh, in a couple years you won't be wearing crop tops anymore. Look at me, I'm still wearing crop tops. Fuck off. And also,
Same, literally right now.
same thing with like coloring your hair and stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I had my hair bright pink still. I cannot
Mm.
because of the study I'm doing and like the
Yeah.
job I was doing and whatever. Um, I would love to have my hair bright pink. But there every time I do it, there is somebody like 10 years older than me, maybe not even. They're like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." And I started doing it when I was like 16.
Yeah.
So they would be like 26-ish. I'm 3 years away from being 26. I would
Oh
love to
wow.
have my hair bright pink at
Yeah.
26. Get out. Like that is like why can people not wear or do things they would love or they like?
I think a lot of it is in sort of the idea of like professionalism, which is a load of bullshit, and that's rooted in a lot of racism. I wrote like a whole thing about this like last year. Well, not the whole article wasn't about it, but a part of it was about the idea of professionalism. And I was saying it's harder for people who don't have a lot of money to be seen as professional without shopping at like fast fashion brands and stuff
Mhm.
to do an ethical fashion. And in the same way that like you might be able to afford to dress professionally, some people's straight up like body types or hairstyles and stuff aren't seen as professional. And why? Like, you know, like it's unjustifiable.
Yeah, it's like that's the whole reason. Like I'm currently doing tourism. If I if I just for my internships and stuff, I need to have my hair a normal color. And even when I worked at my last job, they had only just um passed the thing that you were allowed to show tattoos and stuff like that. Or
Yeah,
just I don't
God.
know how long that was. I had to take out my septum piercing.
Oh,
I was not
that,
allowed to show
yeah.
that. And at first I was constantly like flipping it up for my weekends at work. Eventually it got really infected, so I took it out. But like that is
Yeah.
like just because I have a ring in my nose does not make me less professional. Just because my hair is bright pink does not mean I'm not professional. And especially
Exactly. Are
like
you suddenly like worse at your job? No.
the thing is, like I'm pretty sure if I was able to just keep my hair pink, have my septum out and stuff like that, I would most likely be better at my job because I was myself.
Yeah, and you'd be happier.
Absolutely. Because, like, I haven't really gotten into this with a lot of friends yet, but I have realized since I left the job, or well, it was kind of like, oh, we don't have enough hours because of COVID. So we're gonna have to let you go, which is fine. But since I left, I have been so much happier. I have
Yeah.
been I feel free. I feel like myself. I can think for myself. I can do whatever. I don't know, like I don't want to talk too much about like that because I don't want to get into trouble, but like
Yeah.
because I have details that I don't want to talk about, but or would like to talk about but won't talk about on the podcast.
hmm
There's just I don't know, it's ridiculous. The things that people will say to you just because you're different. And even in a professional setting.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about the idea that the perception of beauty is kind of very similar to an actual child. Like, because that's something that TikTok has pointed out recently to me.
Yeah.
I feel really old talking about TikTok. I'm like, oh, on TikTok. I'm like, I should not be on TikTok. I'm only 21, but I feel like it's for like 15-year-olds. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm like, I shouldn't be there. I don't know why.
The thing is, I'm on the side of TikTok of my age.
Yeah, most people are at this point. When I first started, like my For You page is obviously like not customized to you when you first start, and I was like, oh my god, this is awful. But once it gets quite accurate after a while. But yeah, I remember seeing a couple of TikToks talking about this, and it was like, why is the perception of beauty being short, thin, hairless, like youthful? Like, isn't that concerning to you?
It honestly is.
And it literally is like a child. And I just
And
don't
just
know how
like
to react to
listening,
this.
like obeying to whatever is being
High
said
pitched
to you.
voice.
Yes.
I do not have a high pitched voice. I have a low fucking voice, and I love it. I think it's great.
I love
But
it too. I love a low pitch voice, especially in women. Like, I wouldn't say my voice is the highest, but
Mhm.
the thing is, if you see girls flirting with each other, like girls,
Yeah.
the way you get them is with the low voice.
Oh, okay.
So, like, where does it go wrong?
Yeah.
Because I used to do this as well. Like, when I wanted to flirt with men when I was younger, or boys when I was younger, I would pitch my voice up higher
Yeah.
without even noticing I was doing it.
Or suddenly start laughing more, and you're like, they're not even funny. They're not. They're not even funny.
I used to do that so much, and I'm like, what?
As well, like talking about this, the standards for men are so much lower than for women. Like the one thing I've noticed recently is like, have you ever liked someone, you look back on it and you're like, they were not hot, they were like just 6'4" in a leather jacket and played the guitar, or they're like, or they were just like a runner, or they were like an athlete. Like you're like, they're not hot, they just had that. And I don't know how to explain it.
Is it mean to talk about people I've dated?
Don't just be a bit non-specific so they can't claim it's them. We're all good.
Oh, like last year, like I think it was right before like lockdown, the first lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I went on one date with this dude. Then
I think
he
I
came
remember
on.
this.
Then he came on
I just got a
super
memory.
strong. Yeah, and I was like, this is not gonna happen. And he was talking about he had a crazy accent. That was already where I was like,
Oh, that's a red flag. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think we
I
should do a
knew
whole
that.
episode about red flags in dating, honestly. I think I could talk for hours, man.
Same. Yeah, he said that, and I was at that point. I already was like, okay, this is not gonna happen. Like, we're not gonna see each other.
Because chances are they're the ones insane. The ex is probably not. Just saying.
And he wouldn't talk about it really. Like,
Mhm.
I asked him like, why is she crazy? And she's like, oh yeah. Like, he wouldn't really talk about it. So I was like, oh.
Exactly. I think people can have crazy exes, but if you won't talk about it, like, okay, like, it was probably you then. It was like, if it's like they literally stalked me and my entire family, okay, fair. Like, there definitely are people like that. But I think a lot of it is like men being interesting in relationships and not really like setting boundaries and then being upset when someone else set a boundary. I think it's all communication issues, to be honest.
Here's the thing,
you shouldn't
though.
have these issues, you know.
Here's the thing. So like, I think it was the next day, literally the next day. I knew he would be like closer to me because he lives like an hour drive away from me or something, and he would be in a town next to me for work. And at night or like late afternoon, whatever, he called me or he texted me or whatever, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm not really feeling well. Da, da, da. I'm just, I'm always open about that. And he calls me and he's like, okay, I'm on my way to see you.
What?
We just met yesterday.
No!
Absolutely not. Like, get the fuck out. I want to sleep. I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
I want to be
live
on
my life.
Get the fuck out of here. So I told him, like, no, don't do that. I'm gonna take a nap and then probably ghost you for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then a couple months ago, actually, it's not. I don't even think it's a couple months ago. Not a few weeks ago. Let's just put it there. He messaged me and he's like, "Hey, how are you with like COVID and stuff?" And I'm like, "What? We haven't spoken since last year."
If it was something so brief and he like remembered you like after something so brief, that's a bit crazy just to begin with. I mean, you're iconic, that's why. But I mean, like, most people don't really think a year later, oh, I'm gonna text this person I spoke to you briefly a year ago, because you've moved past that.
Exactly. So I literally responded, huh? And then he's like, yeah, I wanted to ask if you wanted to go for a drive again. And I just said no. I didn't even say anything else. And then like last week, maybe not even a week ago, let me see when this was, because
oh my god,
on Monday, so not even a week ago,
oh my
he texts
god,
me, hi, how are you? I didn't even, didn't I say no? Like, I wasn't, clearly am not interested.
Yeah.
And every
Men
time
don't
he
seem
posts
to
like
know
on
that.
Snapchat and stuff, like I get the ick, like the
Oh,
ick.
remove
I don't know
him, block him, block a
if you
clock.
saw, but yeah, that is like crazy. I don't know how I got to this.
No, yeah, but this kind of leads into something else I was going to say anyways. I kind of wanted to say men don't really know no, because they are told, like, as a child, if you're mean to a girl, then it shows you like them, and like all these really like inherently wrong and fucked up stuff. And I think because of that, they're taught that, like, oh, girls are taught to play hard to get, and then boys think, oh, she's just playing hard to get, rather than she's like not fucking interested. And I think that leads to a lot of harassment. And I've got a story that I want to talk about, but like, I think the person who I think they're gonna see it. I think there's a high potential they might actually hear the story, and they'll be pissed. But I really do. I want to spill the tea. I want to drop the story.
Do I know this person?
No, you'll know the story. It's something that happened to me at university last year.
Oh, what you texted me?
I don't know. This is about someone who lived in my building.
Go ahead, girl.
Do you know the one I'm talking about? I might edit this out. We'll see how it goes. It depends how bold I'm feeling when we're editing. So this is just one example of men thinking that you're just playing hard to get, which, to be honest, maybe I'm a little bit, maybe I do a little bit, but like, it's clear when I say no, if I tell you to fuck off, that I mean no.
Here's the thing. When I play hard to get, I get bold. Like, I get risky.
Yeah.
Like, how do I
make
say
it clear?
Like, I'm pretty like easygoing. I'm like, I'll get on your nerves. Like, I will do everything to get on your nerves, and that is when I play hard to get, because I will keep talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that really hard to get? It's just like being a bitch, but like, I
wouldn't say I play hard to get. I'd say I am hard to get. And what's wrong with that? It's called having high standards and being picky and just
don't
stuff like that.
Okay, anyone who listens, and even to you, It's also a message to me. If you have high standards, if you know you have high standards, don't fucking drop them. You have
Don't waste your time.
Don't
Yep.
waste your time. You have those standards for a fucking reason. If they're too low, if you're
Yes.
aware they're too low, raise those fucking standards. It's like,
Yep.
I've had my time wasted by so many boys, by so many men. Yeah, tell me the story.
So this person lived in the same place as me. That's as specific as I am going to get. I don't give a fuck anymore at all. And if they see this, hi, enjoy.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So I didn't realize how fucked up this was for months afterwards. Until I spoke to other people about it and kind of let it sit in the back of my mind. So essentially, after a night out once, we all sat in the kitchen of this building that we all lived in. There was 3 of us. There's 2 guys and there's me. One of the guys is completely not involved at all. He was just present while this was all happening. So, this guy tells me, he goes, oh yeah, at the beginning of term, we put like a bounty on you and bleep other person. This other person has graduated and knows about it because I told her. So it said we'd put a bounty on you 2 because you're both like hard to get. So hard to get became like a bit of a nickname for me. It's just because I wasn't fucking interested in any of you. So that's why it was hard to get. But I'm not too pissed about the hard to get thing because they didn't mean it in an ill intent. It was like a joke. But that kind of links to this story. That's why. And they said, oh yeah, because of that, we put a bounty on you. And it's the first person to sleep with either of you gets 3 pints for the rest of the term. And I do not know who else was involved in this apart from this guy that obviously was trying to tell me the story. I don't fucking know why. Were you trying to impress me? Were you trying to like get me to like, I don't understand why, in what scenario do you think this will go down well? Then the other guy who was sat in the room with us, I've never seen, he looked really shocked and he didn't know how to react. He didn't want me to obviously kick off at the guy, but then didn't want me to think like I was overreacting at the same time. And I think he was quite awkwardly stuck in the middle. And he was like, oh, he's probably bullshitting. It probably didn't happen. He's probably just trying to like, he's trying to I don't know. He was trying to make sure it was like really like early in the morning, like late in the night. So he was trying to obviously make sure we didn't wake people up is what I'm assuming. And he was like, oh, I think he's bullshitting. It's probably just him and one of his like friends. It's probably not that many people when I was trying to figure out like who else was involved. Because he said, I don't know anyone that was involved. I believe him because he's like a decent person from the encounters I had. I believe that he doesn't know who else was involved. So I talked to other people in college, other guys about this. And one guy in particular who was kind of on the same course as me, and he looked so shocked and disgusted. And he clearly had no clue. And then I was assuming that if he had no clue, his friendship group had no clue. And to this day, I've never been able to narrow down who it actually was. Or if maybe the guy that was trying to like obviously calm the situation was right in saying that perhaps it was just him, that guy that told me, and 1 or 2 other people just trying to look fucking impressive. But the thing is, like I said, I don't know why you think this would be a good thing to tell someone. 1, why do it in the first place? It's literally harassment. It literally is sexual harassment on a really crazy scale. 2, why do you think telling the person is gonna do anything? And 3, then trying to hit on me several times afterwards. And I've got to admit, I was just trying to be nice. I didn't want drama because I was like, I'm going to see this person loads and loads of times again, and stuff like that. And I was just trying to be really, really nice because I just wanted the situation to be over and done and gone. Yeah, no, not anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I don't care anymore. That's why I didn't report it or anything like that because I was like, they live in the same building as me. We're in the same college. I'm going to see them. We're both on like, that narrows it down too much. I'm not saying that. We're both going to be around for the same amount of time. So I'm going to see this person a lot. With COVID, I've seen them once in the past year. And my friend stood in the corner because he's like, I bet there's going to drama going to go down. I don't want to miss it. Is what he told me afterwards. And I found that hilarious.
I love that.
He's like, I wanted to see how you dealt with it. And I was like, oh, I'll just try and be professional. But then I think even that might have came across badly because it was sort of like at the bar and you have to like track and trace people like on the form. And the head of the bar had given people like household numbers so you didn't have to type in their address. And I didn't have the document up. It was like failing. And I was like, oh, can you send me your address for the form? But I realized that probably looked quite badly. I was like, can you like message me it so I can send it so you can get it sorted out for the form and stuff? And that probably came across badly in their eyes, because I was, because if they misinterpret stuff that much anyways. And yeah, they've tried to hit on me several times since. I tried to be nice, thinking, like, the last time they tried that, I tried to be nice, thinking, like, okay, it might just be like a friendly conversation. They might be just trying to move past what happened. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And it definitely fucking wasn't. So I'm done. And yeah, one of the other encounters happened just before COVID. Saw me run out of a club because my friend was having like a crisis. So I went to comfort my friend, then went back to get some water from like the kitchen and stuff. And they were like, "Are you okay?" I told them what happened, and then tried to message me, being like, "What's your room number? I'll like come over." Like, come spoon was the exact thing. And then I think my friends, I had to talk them out of putting a spoon on his table at dinner because they wanted to do it. I think I talked them out of it in the end. I really wish they'd done it now because it would have been fantastic.
I remember this.
And then our group chat name is Cum Spoon now because of that.
But like, that is such a weird way to like try and hook up with somebody. Like,
they tried to hit on me on the first week as well with a really, really weird comment whispered in my ear in a club.
But like, why don't you just say you want to hook up?
I mean, I would have said no, but I would appreciate that over harassment.
Or like some sort of hint towards it, not like cum spoon. Like, are you really? How old are you? Like, come on.
But I don't know if I was just being too nice, essentially, because I was like trying to be like, no. And then I'd be friendly to them because we lived like in the same building. I'd see them several times, like every single day. So I was like, I'm just going to be nice and treat them as if I treat anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that maybe gave the idea that I was interested when I wasn't, but I don't think that's not my fault. That's not my
Absolutely
thing.
not. That is the thing. Like, men don't get the message. Generally, like, I wanted to continue with that sentence, but that is really all that's necessary.
You know what, actually? I think I still have this person on my Instagram, so I'm going to remove them right now.
Do that.
While on the podcast.
No, but like, the thing is, you can...
I've already got them restricted, so I can't remember this person's username. I'm trying to see if they viewed my story, maybe, to try and find them.
Oh my god.
I just found this person on Instagram. I had to go into my restricted follower session. I don't follow them anymore, so I don't know if... and they don't appear to be following me anymore, so I'm wondering if someone's actually said something to them and they found out how pissed I am about the situation.
Oh, that's
so good. I'm going to cover this up, and I'm just going to go block.
No, but
oh my god, you can block with new accounts they may create. That's genius. I've done that now.
Good.
I feel freed from that. I feel quite good about that.
I love that. Yes, bitch.
One thing I wanted to talk about actually is what you were talking about, kind of what you were talking about a little while ago, is like perceptions of women in relationships that women want kids, they want a house, they want a really serious relationship automatically, when it's not really the truth. It's just not, that's not me. I don't think that's you. Like, no. People automatically, as soon as you're speaking to them, think you want a serious relationship because you are a woman. Who said I want to give you my time to start with? That makes me sound so full of myself, but you get the point.
Here's the thing. For me, I love dating. I love getting to know people. I love giving people my time as long as they are on the same vibe as I am. As long as they don't take my energy, stuff like that. I am not the type to want kids.
Same.
I'm a career person. I want to focus on myself. I don't want to put all my time or all my free time in someone I'm dating.
Yep.
I just want good vibes, communication, and I just want to have a good time. Like, and the thing is, okay, I'm gonna get into this. So, at my last job, I've told you about this multiple times.
Yeah.
I always had people, how am I gonna say, comment, or not even just comment, but like low-key complain about the fact that I didn't want kids.
I've had people be like, you'll change your mind when you're older. I haven't changed my mind yet. And also, like, I've got kind of health considerations now after being seriously ill when I was younger that put me off even further. And not even because of like, I know some people are saying it's a bit eugenicsy when you're like, oh, I don't want kids because I don't want to pass on my illness. That's not really the reason, although that is like a reason. The reason is it could fuck me up health wise, and I'm not willing to do that because I should be fine as long as nothing fucks up the surgery that they did on me. Having a kid could fuck up the surgery they did on me, so I'm not really I don't like children anyways, really, to be honest.
And you know what was the most interesting part of it all was I could barely, like, I'm autistic. I could barely deal with this everything around me at my job. What makes you think that I could deal a baby or a toddler or whatever, like a kid, a loud ass kid who needs like your attention at any point of the day? What makes you think I can deal with that?
I was gonna make a joke that I'm too much of an Aquarius to give anything that much attention.
That is true. That is true.
I even when I was thinking a minute ago when you were talking about like kind of what you'd look for, I was like, fucking hell, I've got issues. I was like, I couldn't date someone that would go straight for me. I like a bit of distance. I like to have my own space, be like, I can't be bothered to see you today, and they'll be like, cool. Or like stuff like that. I like having the freedom to do my own thing. And also like the other person wanting to do their own thing, and then and you'll like encourage each other, and like I feel like I'm discussing a business partnership here. I'm not a very romantic person, I think it's quite clear. But like, I don't know, like someone who's just as ambitious and driven as me, likes their own space. I wouldn't mind like I have a lot of like friends who live quite far away. Not saying I want someone far away, but I necessarily wouldn't mind that sort of thing. Just I want my own space and my own independence. I don't like the type of relationships where it's like we are now one entity. No, I want to be like, I am my own person. I just add to this person's life and they add to mine. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Like I don't want to like waste my time in any way. Like, and especially I'm so sensitive to people's energies. When it's slightly off, I
can tell when I first meet people. My gut feeling, I need to just go with it more because I've ignored it and then got myself into a mess. But my first impressions are usually correct.
Every time I ignore it,
intuition.
I used to ignore it so much, but every time I ignore it, it gets me into so much trouble.
My only issue with intuition these days is after being in a terrorist attack, I'll get into this in a different episode, my whole life story. It's hard sometimes to distinguish whether it's intuition or just straight up paranoia.
Oh yeah.
But that's not something I suffer with massively because I don't have many like effects from it anymore. Definitely like if there's a massive bang, occasionally I'll be like, fucking hell, like what just happened. But yeah, I can get more paranoid. Invasive paranoid thoughts, you know, that's like a load of bullshit, but it's based on like the fear in a way still.
Yeah, it's a form of PTSD for sure.
Yeah, I've got over most of it because I think to begin with I used to like I couldn't bear a door slamming. I couldn't go out, like I couldn't go to big concerts anymore because it just like it was too much. I don't have that anymore. It's just kind of like just learning to not be scared and just fucking do stuff.
Yeah, it is terrifying to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're killing
but
it.
I definitely think that's a very justified reason to have paranoia that you heard a bomb go off and 22 people died. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
The way I talk about it so lightheartedly, maybe that's concerning too. We'll discuss that later.
We'll definitely get into it in a different episode because
episode on its own. Yeah.
Just generally in like our near death experiences.
Yep.
Because the thing is, I am very aligned with my shadow self, basically, like my trauma, my darker side, and with stuff like that. I know myself, and from what I know from you, is you push that shit away.
I sort of use it as like an origin story in a way. I use it to drive me, the fact that I've overcome so much of it. But then women have to work 10 times harder than men anyways, that's a fact. But I've sort of become a toxic, I don't want to say workaholic because that's not the word, but I cannot sit still. I mean, this links into the whole near-death thing, which James and I've talked about before. I just can't sit still and let time pass by me. I always need to be working on something, doing something constantly. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I think, like, I look at all the things I've overcome. I'm like, I only did that by being a bitch, essentially. Being the bitch and the boss. And and like putting in so much work that I feel like I need to constantly, and I'm holding myself to such a high standard that I think it's ridiculous, and I'm undoubtedly going to fail because no one can meet the standard I've set for myself. That's one thing I have where other people's perceptions aren't what bothers me. It's my own standards I set for myself, which is it's probably mind-blowing to some people, but that is what it's like. I think I've heard a lot of that sort of stuff from like, I'm not saying I'm an athlete, I'm really unfit, but that's the sort of mindset I've heard from athletes. They set such high standards for themselves that they are like undoubtedly gonna fail, but they can't look at it that way because you've got to have the competitism and the drive. And I definitely feel every single part of that.
Here's the thing. It's funny you bring that up because I have the same currently for
Mm-hmm.
like my next music release. Because the first release, 5,000 streams in a week.
Yeah,
Right?
it's really, really good.
Obviously, the acoustic I didn't really promote, but 5,000 streams in a week is insane for a first release, like
Yeah.
independent, everything. Like, that's insane. That doesn't really happen a lot. But I'm putting so much pressure on myself for the next single.
Yes, that's
I
it.
am genuinely terrified that it's not gonna do as well, even though the song, in my opinion, is better.
Yeah.
I am terrified of like, what if people don't like it? What if it doesn't do as well? And
Yeah.
I feel like it is, in a way, it is a very normal thought, but at the same time, like, there's no way it's gonna do as well because people have had the first impression. And
Yeah.
if the first impression wasn't good, then they're not gonna go back and listen to anything or whatever, like, majority I put out now, which is fine. Like, that is normal. Like, most people are more interested in someone's first ever release, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it's such a long anticipated wait, because that
Yeah.
it has definitely been that. um, but it is incredibly scary in a way. Like, at the same time, I'm like, oh well, it's fine. Like, by now,
Yeah.
it's a little bit over a month. I think we are very close to 8,000 streams. Let me check. We're very close to 8,000 streams. We hit 7,000 last week.
Nice. It's
So
still doing really well.
it's still doing really well.
Yeah.
But that makes me like, it's terrifying. Hope everyone is gonna be on the same level of hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely relate because I feel like, I mean, I'm going to give my life story properly in an episode of itself, but you've already known there was the terrorist attack. There was like the health issues where I almost died like at 16. I then had to basically leave school because I was too old to be there. And then I got myself into one of the best universities in the UK and the world. And I got a really great grade last year, despite being COVID affected. I've been struggling even more this year with university work. And because of all that, I feel like I've still got to prove myself in a way. I'm already accepted. But because I did so well last year, I want to maintain that. But the circumstances are completely different. And it feels like even though you might make it to a really, really high standard, unless you continue performing at that standard, you're not doing enough. And that is, if I'm going to burn out if I keep doing that way. And I'm trying to change it because I'm aware that I'm going to burn out if I keep looking at things that way. But it is just so high pressure, and I don't think it's anyone putting the pressure on but me, myself, and I.
It's good that you're aware that it's yourself.
Yeah.
That like, it literally is a you problem. It's very good that you're aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'm aware of things, I write things, and not even songs. I literally write in a journal, and I will ask myself questions, where it's
Yeah.
coming from and why, and everything, like why I need to. And then I usually realize that it's fucking stupid.
I
And
should
then,
probably
because
look into where it comes
like,
from.
it's stupid, but you need
Oh,
it
yeah.
on paper. You need to see it, or I do. I need to see it, why it's stupid and why it doesn't make sense. And then it clicks, and then I'm like, okay, fuck it. This is ridiculous. I cannot keep doing this to myself. And if it doesn't work, I'll do it again and again and again until it
Yeah.
works.
And I think as well, because everything that I'm trying to achieve has been so hard won before, like so much effort's gone into it, and the stuff that I want to achieve in the future, again, is so competitive, and as a woman it's harder to prove yourself, especially when it's really male dominated, that I'm like, I need to work this hard constantly. Whether I do or not, I won't know until after it's already happened. So I think I need to find balance. But that is also, I think, a byproduct of the fact that women do need to work 10 times harder than men. Because I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel like you've got to prove yourself more. And I just set too high standards for myself. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, how I see it is like currently, you actually have the time to take breaks, right? Once you actually go into the field you want to go into, you will have to keep going until you break, pretty much. Like break through or literally break.
You're right. Yeah.
Until you're successful, and then at that point you need to push a little bit further, and then you can take a break, and that is probably the most difficult thing. So how I see it now, at least that's in a lot of fields, not in every field, but how I see it now is like, I'll take my time to just take breaks, rest, meditate, learn about myself, how I react to certain things, especially being autistic. Like, I need to know in what environments I get calm very fast, what, just stuff like that, in what environments I get really stressed out, and just stuff like that. And I feel like every person has their triggers and like what calms them and what stresses them out. I just have them a little bit on like steroids, I guess. But you just need to know. Well, I personally think you should know what triggers you and how you can take that out. And good thing you have a Libra friend right here, the Queen of Skills.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I am inherently like hardworking, ambitious, driven. Like, that's just part of who I am. But I need to relax a little. And so much of this also comes back to the episode we're going to do with James. We need to message him about that.
Have you not even asked him?
I have asked him. He said yes, but we have not organized when it's actually like gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
So he said yes, but that was like January when I asked him about it, because originally I was going to start this in like January. But yeah, this comes down to, a lot of it comes down to almost dying and then knowing how short life is, and you don't want to press pause at any point.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that, though. Like, it's I'm kind of at that point too, and especially like last summer I was at that point. But I am very like consciously deciding to take breaks. If I can do music in my free time, I will. So if somebody asks me like, hey, do you want to go into a session like on this and this day, I will say yes.
Yeah.
And that can get me into a lot of trouble. Step away for a second and be like, okay, is this a good decision? Think about that, and then I'll book something.
I very much live like under the, in terms of like social events and like also I guess job opportunities, I feel like you should say yes to 90% of stuff, because that's how I've met a lot of people, all gotten ahead in life. But I think I need to learn to say maybe no sometimes as well, because I say yes to pretty much every opportunity I can get, and it definitely has paid off, as you can see in a lot of the stuff I do. Like, it's definitely paid off, but I need to just chill. I need to learn to chill. I feel like I don't know, like some kind of workaholic middle-aged lawyer talking about this. But
the thing is, saying yes is so good, but saying no is powerful. Like, it's like all about protecting your own energy.
Exactly, yeah.
And I feel like I'm really good at saying no. I used to be too good at saying no, and that doesn't happen a lot because I have anxiety and I don't want to disappoint people. But at the same time, like, I matter most to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to look after yourself before you can even do anything else. Like, I'm not a very selfless person. Some people take pride in being selfless. I see that as neglecting yourself. Maybe that says something about me. Like, I'm not the sort of person that sacrifices myself for other people if I know I'm sacrificing myself, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean?
You take pride in being selfish.
Yeah, same. Like, I think you cannot help anyone if you basically say you're trying to push someone out of the way of an oncoming train. It's like a visualization. You're not going to help anyone if you fall and trip and now you're both in front of the train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel it. I find it really, really hard to explain for some reason. But
No,
I think,
I get what you mean. Like, I think that is the best way to explain it. Like,
yeah,
we're once again going back to the whole conversation. We're taught that being selfish is a bad thing, but self-care is the most important thing. And
yeah.
people see being selfish as a bad thing. I see it as self-care.
Yeah, I think as well women are particularly taught to be selfless, like look after the kids, raise this, stay at home, you know, essentially be submissive. Fuck that, like absolutely
Here's the
fuck that.
thing,
I
though.
do.
One thing that really, I mean, my mom, this comes
Mhm.
from my mom, but if my mom would like go to like family birthdays or whatever, like we wouldn't usually come with her because
Okay.
we didn't really get along with the cousins. I really only get along with like 3 of my cousins. But so we wouldn't go, and usually my dad would stay with us, you know, to take care of us.
Mhm.
And they would always ask her like, "Oh, so is he watching the kids? Like, is he like babysitting?"
Oh yeah,
Like, no, he's taking care
he's
of us.
looking
And then
after his own children.
like he he's part of the process of making us. Like, he better
Exactly.
takes care of us. Like, it's not like babysitting your own. No, it's not babysitting your own kids.
Yeah, it's it's ridiculous.
That is like my mom like raised me pretty feminist, to be fair. Like, there's
I
still
love
some
that.
things that well, by now there's things that I am uh more of a feminist in, I guess.
Yeah.
Um but which is normal because there's definitely like a bigger generation gap in that.
Oh
Um
yeah.
but like I remember when I was young, first of all, when I was little, I was homophobic. Look at me now, a bisexual queen. Besides that, I was so into like I wouldn't say I was so into like gender things. I was like, whenever my cousin, for example, was like, "Oh, this is cool," I would be like, "Oh, but that's for boys." And then when they told me like
Same.
when they
Well,
when they
kind
were
of.
like, yeah, well, that doesn't matter. Like, girls can have things for boys. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, or like I would
Yeah.
get that. It wasn't necessarily. It was more like internalized than that
Yeah.
I actually meant that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But like, I I had just very different views. Same thing. I was raised in a very racist environment constantly.
Mhm.
Everything I know, I taught myself.
Yeah. Mhm.
I did my research. I stuff like that. Like, it's ridiculous. But that also means
Yeah.
I learned that all way too late, way later than I should have. But that's a different episode.
I mean, I don't know, my dad's always been pretty like liberal, I guess. But I think, you know, as a kid I preferred boys' toys to girls' toys. And my dad never really had an issue with that. Like he showed me it wasn't wrong. It was like when I came in contact with other kids that is when it like got me. It was like their views and stuff like that. And even like I did taekwondo and I got to red belt, which is like one below black, and I hid that from people. Like I just didn't tell people that was something I actually did.
That is something
And
like it's
I don't
crazy
know.
because that's something to be so fucking proud of. Like, that is insane that
Exactly.
that is something you had to hide because of judgment.
And then even like now, like I forced myself to actually actively dislike a lot of the sports that I now really, really love, want to go into like as a media people, as like a media person. and write about. Like, I taught myself to dislike them because they were like boys things, and it's really fucked. And I've had a lot of men actually try and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, just without even hearing me say anything about it, or try and use it to like flirt with me, or to try and, I don't know, undermine me and, you know, continue the idea that it's a men's thing. But I just don't deal with it anymore. I'm not fucking having it anymore.
That's good. No, I just think it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, generally the things you are into, or especially the sports things and stuff, are like male dominated. But that, come on, like there's plenty of women that can like sports. Like, get the
Exactly.
I say, like, it's the same with like men liking makeup. Like, it doesn't mean they're gay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're transgender. It just means they like putting colors on their face.
Exactly. I mean, like, up until a year ago, I was not really watching sport again, and I wanted to go into fashion, and all of this kind of happened all at once because I was at home with my dad and he was watching it, and I was like, fuck, I really like this. And I basically had to relearn it because it'd been so long since I watched any of it, even though I might have grown up when I was in primary school watching it. The only sport I actually actively like watched in years had been like skiing, snowboarding, and there's quite a lot of women in that. Not more skiing than snowboarding. And then other sports like cycling, which I'd say is the worst sport for gender equality. With, I think it's Anna van der Breggen, which her name's Dutch, so I mispronounced that probably. And she earned 900 euros as a prize versus 17,000 for the men. Which is disgusting. And like
like it's
yeah,
not
and
just
then,
a difference, it's completely what?
yeah. And I know
Like,
some people can say like women's sports aren't watched as much, fair, but she earned 95% less than the male champion. I think the male champion was Dutch as well, but I'm not going to say his name because it's the wrong winner because I need to check.
The thing is, if it would be affected by viewers, like the prize, right? There's no way it can be that much. There's no way.
95%, yeah, exactly.
If it was based by that, right?
Yeah.
What did you say? 17?
He got 17 grand. She got 900 euros. 930, I think, exactly.
Listen, if she got like 15 grand.
Yeah, something like that.
It would make sense. If it was based on like views and whatever, fine. Would it like be good? Would it be all right?
No.
For it to still be a difference? No, absolutely not.
But at least there's a reason behind it, whereas I don't think you can say 95% less people watch women's cycling than they do men's. Also, there was a scandal as well which involved female cyclists. And I know a lot of people will say probably the sport that I watch, which is the worst for gender equality, would be F1. And I'd say undoubtedly no, because there is actually a lot of women in cycling versus not as many in F1, but the women in F1 aren't treated as badly as the women in cycling, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
I get that. Hester, like, I have always been around F1 because my dad really liked it and my brother really likes it now.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a woman racing?
There's been a couple, but I think they were in the very, very early days. There was an Italian woman whose name I really can't remember, but there has been about 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure. But the issue is, I just think because it just has been all men, that stops women from getting into it. And a lot of men who were high up in it being like, it's a man's thing.
Nah, it's just generally so fucked up.
Thanks for listening to the second episode. I know we kind of rambled a bit here and got beyond the point, but I think that's just kind of what this is, really. It is just, this whole podcast is just discussions that we have with friends. And, you know, with friends, it does ramble into different topics. So I hope you enjoyed. Episode 1 is still up, and episode 3 should be coming in probably about 2 weeks because we're aiming for every 2 weeks for now. Thanks for listening, and we shall see you soon. Bye.
Bye.